Yes, sir. We're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you with the Bandai SH Figuarts Captain America Civil War movie Black Panther figure review. Let's do it.
Ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey, I'm fucking with them. Hype beast, we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about you.
And real quick, taking a look at the brown shipper box. If you're one of those weirdos that like to see the shipper box or save the shipper box or think that you can sell the shipper box to someone else who is also a weirdo, then here you go. And then there's how the back of the box actually looks. SH Figuarts logo up at the top. It says Black Panther. A couple of different poses. It says movable and molding. And a ton of Japanese towards the bottom. And there's another picture of Black Panther on one side of the Team box. Iron Man, Black Panther on the other side. I've got Black Panther out of the package, and I have to say I like this figure a lot. Usually before I do a review, I'll open the figure the night before the review and mess around with it for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. Pose it, you know, see how it looks in a vanilla stance, see how it looks in a dynamic pose. And then so that will pretty much prepare me for how I feel about it and what I want to say in a review. And I have to say that I love the posability of this figure. I love the look of it. I love the texture of the costume. It's a very, very nice figure. Now, is it nice enough for you to sell your firstborn in order to purchase this figure? I don't know about that. It's very, very pricey right now because this was a web shop exclusive. And even if you got it directly from Japan, you still paid a pretty penny. I paid about $80 for this figure, basically, with shipping and everything. I ordered two at one time, and it came out to just maybe a little over 160 bucks. So that's still a lot of money for one 6-inch figure, no question about it. Now, admittedly, I might be a little biased, but I'm going to try to remain as neutral as possible. I mean, I'm excited for a Black Panther figure. We don't get too many characters of African descent, whether they be true Africans or African American. We don't get too many representations of black folks in superhero form. So, you know, I got to celebrate this regardless. So I'm a little biased. But and taking a closer look at some of the details on the figure, you can see some very, very nice paint work and a couple of different colors. You know, obviously the costume is mostly black. There's some highlights of silver and maybe like a little gray in there. I think the head sculpt looks very good. I think the proportions are pretty spot on, aside from I'm not really a big fan of how big the chest looks and the ratio with the abdominal section. I don't know, that might look a little weird. I feel like in the movie he was, whoever the actor was that was playing him in costume was very solid all around. They weren't, you know, there wasn't this distinction of a smaller abdominal section. That whoever that person was very solid. I also feel like the costume here is a little bit off from the movie. A few things, and when I do some comparisons, I'll explain that more. I think Figuarts took a few liberties here, maybe, as did the Legends version, probably. But yeah, you can see a couple of different textures here. Obviously, we know that this is supposed to be, the costume's supposed to be woven in vibranium. You can see these gauntlets and the boots seem to be the same texture, and then most of the same texture throughout. Got a lot of raised parts here throughout the sculpt here, and I just think this looks wonderful though. In terms of accessories, Black Panther comes with a couple of sets of interchangeable hands. Besides the two fists, he also has a set of open hands, and just to let you take a look at the peg, it is a standard SH Figuarts swap, but I'll get both of them on. And there's both open hands swapped on. And then he also comes with a set of hands that's supposed to be clawed hands, but there are no claws on the hands. So I don't know what happened there. I think I do remember some early promo images where they showed the hands with the claws. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're going to pay 60, 70, 80 bucks for a figure, you want as many accessories as possible. You want as much playability as possible. You want as much accuracy to the source material as possible. And I think this was a fail. I don't know what happened here. So in terms of articulation, I think they did a very good job with the articulation. You get a really nice range of motion throughout the figure, and that's exactly what you would want for a character like this. If this is any indication of how they may do with a Spider-Man figure in the near future, then I'm looking forward to that for sure. But the head is on a ball joint. The neck actually moves independently of the head as well, so the neck can move side to side and move forward, and so can the head, and the head can kind of pivot on the joint and move left to right. You can do a full 360. You get a very nice range of motion in the head, and that's all great because when you get them into some crouching poses and get them in some cat-like poses, then you can still get the head to look up fully. The head will go down just about that far, and it'll go up pretty far. The shoulders are on like a double ball peg, I guess you can say. So there is like this pull down method that Figuarts is known for, and if you can see in there, you can see the joint, but there's also a butterfly joint here too, so you can see that allows him to put his arms all the way forward, almost cross them, I guess, but that obviously allows for some really cat-like poses as well. You don't have a swivel at the bicep, not really needed though with this range with the butterfly joint, so I don't think you'll really miss that. I wouldn't categorize this as a double jointed elbow, but it's a decent range. You'll get a swivel and a hinge on the wrist, and this hinge is really tight, but there you go, you heard it, but it works. As far as the upper torso moves independent, and you can get them pretty deep and to go up pretty far, but you also get maybe like another notch at the lower abdomen, excuse me, and you can rotate it left and right just a bit too. Same thing on the legs as far as the arms with the pull down method, so you can get the legs pulled down and you can get them up really high. There is no upper thigh swivel, but again, it's not really needed. It can swivel a little bit on this joint. You do get a double jointed knee, you get a hinge on the foot and a pivot, and the legs will come out just about that far. So same thing on both sides as far as the arms and the legs go with articulation, and very nice range. Oh, and you also do get a toe joint as well, which is great. This is definitely something that will come in handy for a crouching figure to kind of flip that toe up and really get a solid pose. Here I am about to set up the last scene for the review, and I forgot that I didn't mention that there's a swivel on these gauntlets as well, so on both sides, so that's one more point of articulation. Couple quick size comparisons. You can see him next to two of his teammates from Team Iron Man. Got the Mark 46 Iron Man on the left and Black Widow on the right. I think the proportions between Black Panther and Black Widow look pretty good. Maybe Iron Man could be a little bit bigger, or maybe Black Panther could be a little smaller. I think Black Panther is actually kind of large in comparison to some other regular standard 6-inch figures. So as you can see, he stands just about the same height as some standard 6-inch scale Marvel Legends figures. You can see the Pizza Spidey on the right, and you can see the Marvel Legends version of the same character, Black Panther, on the left. And you can see some of the similarities and some of the differences between the costume. I think for the most part they both did pretty well. We're trying to replicate the on-screen costume. And real quick, I also should note that often I say this, it's not just about posing the figure dynamically with me. It's also about getting the figure into a vanilla pose, and this was one of the reasons why I really disliked the Legends version, because you couldn't fully relax the arms at the side. As you can see, they're in this sort of gunslinger pose, and I didn't like that. I didn't even like the sculpt of the hands. You didn't get any interchangeable hands with the Legends version. They did give you the claws, but I didn't like the sculpt. It looks really weird. But looking at them closer side by side, you can see the Legends actually did a very good job with the costume, but in my opinion, the Figuarts version is much better. The texture here, the way it feels, the way it looks, is a lot better. I will say that Legends seem to have gotten all of these accents and all of the silver parts more accurate to the movie. I feel like it was way more pronounced and larger in the movie, like the Legends version, as opposed to how it looks here. You know, this whole necklace, all of these silver parts, I feel the sort of woven vibranium fabric. I think Figuarts got that right. The head sculpts are pretty similar and both pretty nice, and they both about the same size as well. Now, as far as the feet go, I feel like the Legends kind of took some liberty here and kind of gave you these Chinese slipper type things here. I don't feel like it was like that in the movie. I feel like it was just boots, like this on the like they have on the Figuarts version. And the head on the Figuarts version does pop off, and you did get that interchangeable head with the Legends version. Unfortunately for the Legends version, you didn't really get any range of motion on the head, especially not as good as it is on the Figuarts version. And it was just a lot of weird parts. Like, look at that. That looks really weird. Like I said, the hands look really weird, you know, and you couldn't get them into the best type of crouching dynamic poses. So just posing up both figures a little bit more and messing around with them and comparing. You know, the Legends version has a true double jointed knee that goes all the way back. The joints are here on the Figuarts version, but it's hindered a little bit from where the thigh is. And also, you might want to be careful with the Figuarts version as far as maybe some rub here as you're posing it up a lot. So that could be an issue, but, you know, definitely a greater range of motion on the Figuarts version. That does work. That's the Legends head on the Figuarts body. It's not going to pop on there, but you can sit it on there and the proportions look pretty good. So if you got somebody to kind of, or if you had the ability to paint this up and just make it look a little more detailed to match the look of the Figuarts figure, then you'd have a cool unmasked Black Panther. So listen, this is a very dope figure. I like this figure a lot. It's clean. It has great articulation. It is very accurate to the movie. But did they drop the ball with not giving us the clawed hands? Absolutely. Might you run into some problems with some type of paint rub at the pelvic area with the legs? Sure. I also think that they could have done a better job as far as giving us a true double jointed knee. But overall, you still get a ton of articulation. Right now, if you try to purchase this figure domestically, it'll run you $100 or better, maybe anywhere and upwards of $120, $130 shipped, and that's crazy. If you would have gotten this figure like I got it directly from Japan, it still would have run you about $80, and that's kind of crazy too. Did the $20 Legends figure stand up to this $60, $70, $80 figure? Sure, it did, but is the Legends version better than this figure? I don't think so. Without a doubt, this is the better figure overall, despite whatever little issues, you know, I mentioned in this review. It's still a great figure. I'd still recommend it if you can get it for kind of cheap. The thing is that you don't have to jump out the window and spend a lot of money on this figure right now. Black Panther's going to have his own solo flick, and we're definitely going to get another Black Panther figure from SH Figuarts. By the time this his movie comes out, I'm sure they'll make some changes to the costume, and it'll be a little different, and hopefully they'll be able to give us those claws, and whatever they saw that was a flaw in this figure, they should be able to fix it on the second run. Truthfully, it can go either way, being that this is the very first figure. You may want to just grab it because it's the very first figure. You could be patient though and wait for possibly what might be a better version, and save some money in the long run. Still, I'm pretty happy with my purchase. I'm okay with it, and until next time, peace.